Now, I want Shedeur to get out of Cleveland. I feel like the organization has not been fair to him. They have not been giving him his just due, I should say. And me personally, I feel like he should leave. Now, with that being said, do I feel like the Cleveland Browns is going to trade Shedeur Sanders? No, I do not. I don't feel like they're going to let him go. They would have traded him already if that was the case. I feel like this whole Shedeur thing is going to be involving them with this stadium. I keep saying follow the money, y'all.
Yo, hold up. Shedeur Sanders might be pulling off the most genius move we've ever seen in the NFL, and Cleveland has no idea what's coming. While everyone's been losing their minds over trade rumors and whether the Browns are doing him dirty, Shedeur's been playing 4D chess this entire time. The Browns think they got him locked down, exploiting him for ticket sales and stadium funding, but sources are saying there's something buried in his situation that could flip the entire AFC on its head. This isn't just about leaving Cleveland anymore. This is about Shedeur Sanders potentially revolutionizing how young quarterbacks protect themselves in this league. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to see why the Browns might have just made the biggest mistake in franchise history.
And currently in the news, besides the illegal sports gambling, is Shedeur leaving Cleveland. Now, reports is coming out. I ain't going to lie to you. We finna go to Google right now so y'all can see I'm not clickbaiting. We definitely got this coming out right now, man. And let me pull this up real quick before I show you guys the actual article that I seen. But y'all can see there, as soon as you Google Shedeur name, man, it's looking spooky, dog. I know we getting close to Halloween, but it says here, Browns, Shedeur not getting starting reps.
Look, I'm going to be straight up with you guys. When I first saw Shedeur's name pop up in these trade rumors this morning, I thought it was just another day in the NFL rumor mill. You know how it goes. Slow news day, somebody throws a quarterback's name out there, sports media goes crazy, rinse and repeat. But then I started digging deeper. And what I found? Man, this is way bigger than just some random trade talk to the Jets. Let me paint you a picture of what's really going on in Cleveland right now. Because this situation is wild. You've got Shedeur Sanders, one of the most hyped rookies in recent memory, sitting as the backup quarterback. Cool, that's normal for a rookie, right? Wrong. Here's where it gets spicy. The Browns traded Joe Flacco, yeah, the veteran who actually had them looking competent last season, and bumped Shedeur up to second string. You'd think that means they're preparing him to take over, grooming him to be the future. But here's the kicker that has everyone scratching their heads. Kevin Stefanski comes out and says Shedeur hasn't gotten any first-team reps. None, zero, zilch. Then, as if that wasn't bad enough, offensive coordinator Tommy Rees, this man literally double stamps it. He confirms it again. Now, why would you do that? Why would you publicly announce to the entire world that your second-string quarterback, the guy you drafted to be your future, isn't even getting practice reps with the first team? That's not normal development, bro. That's sending a message. And here's where people are starting to connect the dots. Follow the money, that's what I always say. The Browns are building a new stadium, right? They need to sell tickets. They need merchandise flying off the shelves. They need buzz. And what creates buzz in Cleveland right now? Shedeur Sanders. His name alone puts people in seats. His jersey sells. People tune in just to see if he's going to play. The Browns know this. They're not stupid. But here's the thing. Shedeur and his camp, they know it too. So when these trade rumors started circulating about Shedeur potentially going to the Jets, people immediately started talking about Garrett Wilson. And yeah, the proposal makes sense on paper. Cleveland reportedly wants Wilson, that elite receiver from Ohio State who's stuck in New York with quarterback chaos. The Jets need a young, talented quarterback who can actually get Wilson the ball. On the surface, it's a win-win, right? But let me tell you why this goes deeper than just a simple player swap.
On this rumor out there, now I told y'all my opinion, but let's listen.
But I have to say, like, he's a guy. It's not just an Ohio State thing. I've obviously paid more attention to him because of the Ohio State ties. He's 25 years old. Yeah, I trust a lot more that Garrett Wilson's going to be good in this league over the next 5 years, 3 years than Shedeur Sanders. So yeah, I'm throwing a pick. I'm throwing Shedeur Sanders.
You would throw Shedeur in there.
Yeah,
as of right now,
if that's what it took to get him,
can't do it.
That's how much I believe in Garrett Wilson.
Can't do it. I've had all these fights in the world. I'm actually wearing the same sweater. I can't believe this. The same sweater I was wearing sitting with you at Flying Monkey when they drafted Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah,
what a moment. What a moment.
Well, it's Jets color too.
It's come full circle, has it not?
There's this clip from 92 The Fan in Cleveland where these analysts are literally debating whether they'd trade Shedeur for Garrett Wilson. And one of them, this dude is adamant. He's like, yeah, I'd throw Shedeur in there right now. That's how much I believe in Garrett Wilson. Now, on the surface, that sounds like typical sports talk radio, right? Hot takes for clicks. But here's what they're really telling you. Even Cleveland's own media doesn't believe Shedeur is untouchable. They don't see him as the franchise cornerstone. They see him as a trade chip, and that's exactly the problem Shedeur is facing right now. The Browns drafted Dillon Gabriel. They're committed to him as the starter. But they also drafted Shedeur, knowing full well his name carries weight, his brand brings attention, and his presence in that locker room, even on the bench, keeps fans interested. It's exploitation, plain and simple. They're using his star power without giving him the opportunity to actually prove himself on the field. Now, here's where Shedeur flips the script. And this is the part that has NFL insiders. Buzzing word on the street is that Shedeur's camp has been quietly working on something that could change the game for young quarterbacks forever. We're talking about strategic positioning that goes beyond just demanding a trade or sitting out. See, Shedeur can't just force his way out. He's a rookie under contract. The Browns control his rights. But what if there was a way to make staying in Cleveland so uncomfortable, so financially and PR damaging for the organization, that they'd have no choice but to move him? This is where the AFC clause concept comes into play. Now, I'm not saying there's a literal clause in his contract, but stick with me here because this is about leverage. Shedeur's team knows something the Browns are terrified of. If they keep him benched, refuse to develop him, and just use him as a marketing tool, they're killing his career value. And if his value tanks because he never plays, guess what? The Browns lose their biggest trade asset. They lose the ticket sales. They lose the jersey revenue. They lose everything. But if Shedeur and his camp play this right, if they leak just enough trade interest from other AFC teams, if they let it slip that Shedeur would thrive in a different system, if they create a media narrative that Cleveland is wasting generational talent, then suddenly the Browns are in a lose-lose situation. They either play him and risk exposing that Dillon Gabriel might not be the answer, or they trade him and face backlash from fans who wanted to see what Shedeur could do. Let me break down why this Jets trade proposal is actually brilliant for Shedeur, even though people are clowning it. First, the Jets are desperate. They've been through how many quarterbacks in the past 5 years? They've got weapons, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, a solid offensive line when healthy. They just need a quarterback who can make smart decisions and get the ball to playmakers. That's literally Shedeur's entire game. He's cerebral, accurate, doesn't force throws. He'd walk into New York and immediately have better weapons than he ever had in Cleveland. Second, the AFC East is wide open. The Bills are aging, the Dolphins are inconsistent, the Patriots are rebuilding. If Shedeur goes to the Jets and balls out, he's not just saving his career. He's potentially leading a franchise to playoff contention in year 2. That's legacy-building type stuff. Third, and this is the part people aren't talking about enough, New York is the biggest media market in the world. If Shedeur goes to the Jets and succeeds, his brand explodes. We're talking commercials, endorsements, national spotlight every single week. Compare that to Cleveland, where he's sitting on the bench watching Dillon Gabriel hand the ball off. It's not even close. But here's the twist that makes this whole thing even crazier. I don't think Shedeur actually wants to go to the Jets specifically. I think his camp is using the Jets' interest to create leverage across the entire AFC. Think about it. If the Jets are publicly interested, how many other teams are quietly watching? The Titans need a quarterback. The Raiders need a quarterback. The Colts might move on from Anthony Richardson if he doesn't develop. Every single one of these teams is seeing Cleveland refuse to play Shedeur and thinking, man, if we could get him for a reasonable price, why not? This is how you create a bidding war without ever demanding a trade publicly. You let the media do the work for you. You let analysts like the ones on 92. The fan float the idea that Shedeur is available. You let trade proposals circulate on sports talk radio. And suddenly, Kevin Stefanski and the Browns front office are getting phone calls from multiple teams asking what it would take to pry Shedeur away. And here's the genius part that separates Shedeur from other young quarterbacks who've been stuck in bad situations. He's not coming out and trashing the organization. He's not pulling an Antonio Brown or a Kyrie Irving. He's staying professional, showing up to practice, being a good teammate. But behind the scenes, his camp is orchestrating a masterclass in leverage manipulation. They're making the Browns choose. Either develop him properly or let him go somewhere that will. Now, let me tell you why I think Shedeur is actually playing this perfectly. Even though some people are criticizing him for not earning the starting job, the Browns have already shown their hand. They don't want Shedeur to be their starting quarterback, at least not right now. They've publicly stated he's not getting first-team reps. They've made it clear Dillon Gabriel is their guy. So why would Shedeur waste years of his career sitting on a bench, waiting for an opportunity that might never come? You've only got so many years in this league. Your rookie contract is everything. If you spend 3 years holding a clipboard, by the time you get a chance to start, you're already on your second contract. and teams are wondering if you're washed. Shedeur knows this. His father, Deion Sanders, definitely knows this. And they're not about to let the Browns waste his prime years just so they can sell a few extra jerseys and keep fans interested in a team that's going nowhere. But before we get into what happens next, and why this could get even crazier, real quick, if you're enjoying this breakdown and you want to stay updated on every single twist and turn in the Shedeur Sanders saga, smash that like button and drop a comment letting me know if you think he should force his way out or stay and fight for the starting job. Let's keep this conversation going. Now here's where this whole situation takes another turn that nobody saw coming. The Browns are in a position where they literally can't win. If they trade Shedeur, the fan base revolts. Cleveland fans have been starving for a franchise quarterback for decades. They finally draft a guy with elite pedigree, pro-ready skills, and a winning mentality. And before they even see him play a meaningful snap, the front office ships him out for a wide receiver. Fans would lose their minds. The backlash would be nuclear. Season ticket holders would be demanding refunds. The local media would tear the organization apart. But if they don't trade him, they're stuck paying a second-string quarterback who's too talented to be on the bench, but not in their long-term plans. They're stuck answering questions every single week about why Shedeur isn't playing. They're stuck dealing with the media circus that follows Deion Sanders everywhere he goes. And most importantly, they're stuck watching Shedeur's trade value potentially decline if he never plays. This is exactly the position Shedeur's camp wants them in, because the longer this drags on, the more desperate the Browns become to make a move. And when desperation kicks in, that's when you get favorable trade terms. That's when you get sent to a team with actual weapons, actual coaching, and actual opportunity. Let me hit you with some real talk for a second, because I know there's going to be people in the comments saying, but he hasn't proven anything yet. He hasn't earned the right to demand anything. And look, I get it. I understand the mentality of putting your head down, working hard, and earning your spot. That's the traditional football way. But here's the reality. The NFL is a business. These teams don't care about your feelings. They don't care about your dreams. They will use you up and spit you out the second you're no longer valuable to them. So why should players, especially young players with limited earning windows, not protect themselves? Shedeur isn't being a diva. He's not throwing tantrums or skipping practices. He's simply making it clear, through back channels and strategic media leaks, that he's not going to waste his career being a mascot for a struggling franchise. And honestly, good for him. More players should be doing this. Now, let's talk about what actually happens next, because this is where it gets really interesting. The NFL trade deadline is November 4th. That's the date everyone's circling. If the Browns are going to move Shedeur, it has to happen before then. And here's what I think goes down. Cleveland gets multiple offers. I'm talking at least 3 or 4 teams putting packages together. The Jets offer Garrett Wilson and maybe a 3rd-round pick. The Titans offer a 1st-rounder. The Raiders throw in a 2nd and a 4th. Suddenly, the Browns are looking at this thinking, wait, we can actually get real value for a guy who's not even in our plans? So I think what happens is this. The Browns hold on to Shedeur through the trade deadline, thinking they can revisit this in the offseason when they have more time to evaluate Gabriel and more leverage in negotiations. They tell themselves, we'll let Shedeur sit this year, see how Gabriel does, and then make a decision in March when we're not under a time crunch. But that's where they make their biggest mistake. Because if Shedeur sits all season, watches Dylan Gabriel struggle, and let's be real, Gabriel's probably going to struggle because Cleveland's offensive line is trash and they have no weapons. And then the Browns try to trade him in the offseason, his value drops. Other teams are going to look at him and say, you drafted this guy, refused to play him for a full year, and now you want a 1st-round pick for him? Nah, we'll give you a 3rd at best. That's the trap Shedeur's camp is setting. They want the Browns to wait. They want Cleveland to hold on to him too long, because the longer this plays out, the more obvious it becomes that the Browns mismanaged the situation, and the easier it is for Shedeur to control his own destiny. And here's the thing that has me convinced Shedeur is going to come out of this looking like a genius. He's learning from the best. His pops, Deion Sanders, has been through every political game in sports. Deion knows how to work the media. He knows how to create leverage. He knows how to protect his brand. And you better believe all of that knowledge is being passed down to Shedeur right now. So while everyone's arguing about whether Shedeur deserves to start or whether he's being entitled, he's quietly building a case that the Browns are wasting his talent. And when he finally does get traded, and trust me, it's when, not if, he's going to ball out wherever he lands, and Cleveland's going to be stuck explaining to their fans why they let a franchise quarterback walk away for pennies on the dollar. Let me give you a comparison that'll blow your mind. This is exactly what happened with Justin Fields in Chicago. The Bears drafted him, refused to properly develop him, gave him no weapons, No offensive line, no coaching, and then acted surprised when he struggled. And what happened? They traded him to Pittsburgh for basically nothing, and now Fields is looking like a completely different quarterback with competent coaching and actual NFL talent around him. The Bears got clowned for that move, and they deserved it. Cleveland is about to make the same mistake. They're going to convince themselves that Dillon Gabriel is the answer, because they invested in him. They're going to tell themselves that Shedeur wasn't the right fit. They're going to rationalize keeping him on the bench as development. And then, 2 years from now, when Shedeur is leading the Jets or the Titans or whoever trades for him to the playoffs, Cleveland fans are going to be rioting in the streets wondering how their front office fumbled the bag this badly. And you know what the craziest part is? Shedeur knows all of this. He sees exactly how this is going to play out. That's why he's staying calm. That's why he's not forcing anything. He's letting the Browns dig their own grave while he positions himself to land in the perfect situation. So here's my final take. On this whole thing, Shedeur Sanders is about to revolutionize how young quarterbacks handle bad organizational situations. He's showing the blueprint for how to maintain your value, protect your career, and force a team's hand without burning bridges or ruining your reputation. And 5 years from now, when sports analysts are breaking down how he escaped Cleveland and became a Pro Bowler somewhere else, they're going to point back to this exact moment as the turning point. The Browns think they're in control. They think they can keep Shedeur locked down as insurance while they ride with Dillon Gabriel. But Shedeur's playing chess while Cleveland's playing checkers. And by the time the Browns realize what's happening, it'll be too late. All right, that's my take on this whole situation. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Shedeur should demand a trade right now? Or should he stay patient and wait for his opportunity in Cleveland? Are the Browns making a massive mistake? Or are they actually handling this the right way? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I know this one's going to get heated. And if you made it this far, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next update when this situation inevitably explodes. Because trust me, this story is far from over. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.